Hi, everybody. Today we have a real special treat. I've been so looking forward to this interview. We have Elaine Liu, who is going to tell us a little bit of how she built her business. And I already told her how impressed I was when I saw her on Selena Sue's Impacting Millions live conference. And I thought to myself, I need to have her. I need everybody to know about this woman. Hi, Elaine. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. And we have so much to talk about because I did my homework and we're going to geek out about a couple of different things. Are you ready for this?
Yes, go for it.
Let's do it. First of all, can you tell us a little bit of who you are and what you do?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am a business and career coach for women of all colors. And I'm the founder of the Call Your Dreams movement. What actually makes me unique is not because of my coaching business, it's because of my past experience. I was a former grassroots organizer who knocked on doors, did phone calls. And I also used to be a nonprofit fundraiser who had donors like Elon Musk, the heir of LA Times. So the focus on my business is relationship building, which is how I've hit multi-six figures and about to hit seven figures next year. And I've served over 200 plus clients, teaching them like this high organic touch framework. I don't use ads. I build relationships. And that's what I teach my clients to do too.
And we are going to dive into that because I have talked to people who use Facebook ads is their bloodline. I've talked to people who, they know what their numbers are, right? They've perfected the art of using Facebook ads to know how much revenue they're going to get based on how much they put in. You don't do any of that. Nope. And I want to come and let's start there. Let's start there. First of all, I looked back into your history and starting in politics. And I know that this was one of those things that you grew up in California and you said, okay, I'm moving to Iowa to knock on doors and be a part of a political campaign. And first of all, I wanted to know, how did that come about? How did you go from California to Iowa to work in politics? Was politics something that you were interested in, or was this just a job?
Yeah, well, I'm a first generation immigrant here in the States. Mm-hmm. So going after my dreams is really important. Making an impact and change was important. And to be transparent, when I graduated college, it was during the recession, 2009, 2010. So there was not much jobs. Usually it's the opposite. Someone from the Midwest moves to California. I honestly couldn't find any jobs. I got waitlisted, got a fellowship to work in Iowa as a grassroots organizer in politics. And basically what that is I had to do phone calls for 12 hours straight. And I'm not talking about iPhone smartphones. I'm talking about landlines. Do you guys remember what that was? So landlines, calling 400 people per day and knocked on 15 doors an hour. This is so weird as a millennial. I hated my job at first. Just hated it because I just did phone calls. But within 6 months, I organized 557 people to come and volunteer. Our goal was really simple: get people to vote, which is fascinating because right now it's an election year. And even though I didn't like my job, what I saw about it was I learned how to build relationships, to listen to people, how to follow up with them. People talk about this all the time. I talk about how getting a sale is like dating. And I hope all of you who have little kids around, I hope you have your headphones on, but are you going to ask for sex on the first date? Unless you found that person on Tinder, no, you're not going to ask for sex on the first date. The goal of the first date is to get a second date. So what I learned in grassroots organizing, the first goal is having that volunteer come in to do phone calls. And then if you're able to get them the second time, it's because they came for you. And I've been able to organize different campaigns throughout the States. And knock on doors. And I just learned the art of building relationships and listening, because whether it's a product or a service, the person who's buying is a human being. They're making a choice.
And one thing that, again, like doing my homework in all the things that you were doing, first of all, because I'm a big politics junkie, like I just a lot of stuff. And I wonder if you were interested in politics at the time.
Yes, I was. Of course.
What was it about it that attracted you to that field?
What attracted me was just that I'm going to do a little pitch in terms of voting. I'm not going to get like political on one side or the other. What I want to
everybody
emphasize
should vote,
is like,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm a first generation immigrant. So my parents came from the Philippines. This country is made of immigrants, and people move here because they have a voice. That voice is through voting. And so there's a powerful force in there when you're voting for something, because my parents, the generations before them, didn't have that much of a voice in the country that they were in, like so many other first generation immigrants. So that's where my passion lies in. And for me, if I could just encourage people to vote, that's great. And I also want to let people know in this podcast, elections doesn't happen every 4 years. There's also local elections.
One of the things that that when you were in there, after you got out of the politics, you went into the nonprofit sector. And you've described before how you were basically getting paid to hang out with wealthy people all the time. What was that like?
Oh God, I loved it. I mean, obviously this was before COVID, but I would just have lunch and dinner at these really nice places. I love, it was my dream job. I will say I worked at a community college, Pasadena City College, and their foundation as a fundraiser. And I would listen to their life lessons. It was basically it was like doing podcast interviews, but not having it recorded, because it wasn't like, I want to give $20,000 to an art scholarship. Those are not the conversations. The conversations where I'm just going to tell you what I learned about life, because these were people that were older, like early age 60. Mm-hmm. And I learned just so much from them, just so all of you, and also just so all of you know too, like it wasn't just 60, but I had a donor. You may know him. His name's Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. I met him before he created Tesla. I was at his SpaceX control room with his other board members. We were having lunch and he donated to this cause that I was working for at the time. And I also want to give you a little hint. He did not come from an email funnel.
Right.
He came from connection, relationship building, listening to him. But I was around very wealthy people. And I'm not talking about they don't even need to post about how much money they make. And that's another thing I could just rant about, because I don't post how much money I make. I post about my clients' wins. Right. And they just share not necessarily their wealth, but how they want to live and their purpose and their mission. There was more depth to it. That's the type of wealth I want to see more of, like I wish in the coaching world.
Can you think of one specific one that really stuck with you, that their advice still resonates in your head?
Yeah. So, I could share this. One of my donors is the heir of a very famous newspaper. If I said the newspaper, you would know it, but I'm going to keep it confidential. Okay. And unfortunately, her daughter passed away in her late 20s from cancer. And she did art, like she just painted all day. And one of the things she just shared, I'm so grateful I had her in my life. Like there was no, I'm so upset, I hate cancer. Like there was no negative thing. It was just the act of gratitude. And because I just listened to her story, we honored it. And she gave $100,000 for an art scholarship. There was no like, come give us a bonus. And if you act now, you will get a name in this building. Like there is no fast action bonus. It was just the act. It was being human. It was listening to their stories. And in turn, like I learned so much from them.
At which point did you decide from the nonprofit world that it was time for you to branch out on your own? What happened? What precipitated that change?
Yeah, so it's weird. I worked for both nonprofit and government. This is what I mean by that. I worked at a community college, so it's government funded. So if anyone has worked in government, your salary is based off of this damn spreadsheet with a line like L1, and then each year you get a little income increase. Yeah. So for me to move up in this industry, because I saw myself as being an executive director for a nonprofit, is I had to go get my master's. So I went to go get my master's, and obviously my immigrant Asian parents were so excited. Yay, my daughter's getting a master's. I'm going to brag about her to all of my friends. The day I graduated, I just didn't feel happy or well. I don't know. I couldn't even eat that day, and I love eating. And then I realized, I've been doing what other people have been telling me to do. This is not what I want to do. Like, I really want to start my own business. So yes, going to grad school was a very expensive route for me to realize I wanted to have a business, but it was also a really great experience for me to realize I didn't want it. So I have no regrets in terms of things that have happened. So with me graduating from master's, realizing I didn't want to move up in that industry made me realize I want to start my own business. So I actually before I became a business coach, I was a career coach, because I was able to transition from politics to nonprofit. I was able to ask for a raise from 60K to 72K to 98K. I increased my salary up to 38K within a year. Right. In addition to that, when I was a director, I actually started being a director at the age of 22, so really young, and manage people who are double my age. So I had to learn to be assertive. I had to teach people like, hey, I'm not just this young 20-year-old, take me seriously. So I learned how to create boundaries, showcase myself and my strengths to people who are older than me. So that's what I taught people during career coaching. And then the best and worst thing, I call it the worst thing, but best thing happened in my life. I lost my job.
Oh.
Right after I turned 30, right after my birthday. It was the worst thing, obviously. I'm like, oh my God, I lost my job. But it was the best thing because it made me focus full time into my business. My business grew so fast that people are like, how the hell did you grow your business so fast? So I transitioned more to business coaching. And I will say, yes, there's not one day I haven't had a coach. I believe in investing in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But really the foundation of everything I teach was because of my decade experience as a grassroots organizer, nonprofit fundraiser. It's really interesting. All I do is just voice memo, DM people, build relationships. I only have 3,000 followers on Instagram, but this is what I've learned in the nonprofit sector, because in our donors, we organize who we connect with. You always want to put your top priority donors. That's what I do in my own business. I'm just connecting with people who I know are big leads or big referrals for me. And then they convert, and they're so grateful that I know them beyond their first name. I know if they have a dog, a cat, if they're going to Hawaii this week. I know personal details about people that like, wow, she really cares. And I do. All my clients will tell you they care. I mean, for example, my clients, it's not my birthday. I got 2 bouquets of flowers just because for my clients.
So I really want to talk about the relationship building part, but I'm not ready to move on yet because you just said something that is key that a lot of people, Elaine, are feeling right now with the pandemic. A ton of people have lost their jobs, right? So we have a lot of entrepreneurs out there. We have kind of 2 camps. One camp saying, well, I can't really sell anything right now because I want to be sensitive to those people who lost their job because they can't pay. And we have another camp who says, you guys, this is the best time, the best thing that could have happened to you so that you can actually take off with your life. And I would love from somebody who's been there, who lost her job, who had already been thinking, I should probably start my own business, but it was the job loss that really made that happen. What would you say to someone who's in the position that you were, but now during the pandemic?
Don't let your current circumstances dictate your future. If I had to think, oh shit, I lost my job. Oh shit, 20K in debt. What the fuck? Like, you are 30 years old. Get your shit together. Literally all 3 thoughts were in my head. I'm just being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
But what has led me to that is not going to help me to my next level.
Yeah.
To get to the next level, like for example, okay, I don't know when you're going to air this, but yesterday my Lakers team won. But the fucking Lakers team won because they also had a coach and a coaching staff.
Right.
Like, and also because I'm from LA, like Kobe didn't just become Kobe because it was Kobe.
Right.
He had Phil Jackson, similar to Michael Jordan. I don't know about you, but I want to be in that type of elite level when it comes to my business. And in order for me to do that, I have to invest in myself. Also, in terms of the question of like, oh, I'm scared to sell to other people, change the framework of saying selling is serving. And also, it's 2020, right? How many of you are mad that toilet papers companies are still selling toilet paper? I'm fucking happy Charmin is selling. That is my brand. But like, why would you be upset? And also, for the people, I mean, here's another mindset shift, like reframe. The people that you say, they're going to be mad at me that I'm selling, list those names for me. Can't think of them, right? And let's say you could think of like Uncle Bob or Jill and that bitch Karen, right?
Right.
Are they even your ideal client? No. So who gives a fuck? Like, okay, this is a great mindset trick that I've learned. Beyonce has haters.
Right.
And Beyonce is fucking amazing. How the hell does she have haters? So it's just going to happen. There's going to be people that don't like you, but you have to think deep. Why the hell you're doing this? For me, I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm honoring my parents and my grandparents' legacy by going after what's important for me.
Did you always think this way about money, about having a business? Did you always think this enlightened?
Yes, I'm the weird one. in my family and in my friends. I mean, I went to therapy when I was 18. Like, I'm always questioning everything. I'm such a rule breaker. That's why I'm not in politics anymore.
Right.
But yes, but I will say, in terms of even not having a business, even when I was back in my full-time job and I wanted to get a raise, I knew something had to change. So I hired a career coach. That's how I got into my experience as being a client coaching. It wasn't even like, I want to build a business. Like, how the hell do I ask for a raise?
Right.
You know why? I was around family members and friends where I told them I want to get a raise. Like, oh, if you work hard, your boss is just going to give you money. I was like, that's not how this society
That's
works.
not it. I can
It's a very immigrant mentality.
Yeah.
You work hard, your boss is going to reward you. I'm like, no, you have to ask for what you want.
Yeah. When I was in corporate, I was underpaid for many years. And when I finally had the courage to sit across from my boss and tell them, okay, I feel like I deserve a raise at this point. I was never adjusted by cost of living when I moved from Kentucky to Massachusetts. And I like, this is just, and he tells me like to my face, he's like, yeah, I noticed that you were getting paid less than all your peers. I noticed that. I'm like, were you planning on doing something about it? No, the answer is no. Why would it be his job to spend more money on his cost center? It just isn't.
Here's the reality. Your boss is not thinking about you all the time.
Right.
They're not. They have other things they're thinking about. Not that they don't care. I mean, sure, there are asshole bosses, but they just don't have time. So you need to, as an employee, you have to bring it to your attention. Like, you can't be the yes person. That's not how you're going to move up.
Yeah.
Like, you have to question things. Like, I've learned to be assertive. Like, I would tell my boss all the time, I understand you want to do this. While at the same time, these are issues that I could see along the way. What are your thoughts? Yeah. So having conversations like that, but all those assertive conversations have helped me question myself. Like, well, I don't want to be in this. What pushed me out? I mean, yes, I lost my job, but working in a government organization like a community college, it's very bureaucratic. So the movement of new ideas and creativity is so slow. And as someone who's creative like me, like, that's just not going to work for me.
Right. And you mentioned that when you were thinking about getting that raise, did you say, did I get this right, that you were working with a career coach at the time? So, okay. So was that your first view into there's a coaching world out there?
Yes.
How did your coach find you? How did you find them?
It was funny. I was talking to my therapist. I was like, I'm considering working with a coach, teach me how to ask for a raise. She Googled someone, and then that's how it found it. I'm going to listen to my therapist. Yeah, that was my first experience being a client to a coach. And I was like, wait. And then towards the end of our coaching I was like, I could do something like this.
Right.
I don't know. So it was just always in the back of my head. Yeah. I'll be honest, when I wanted to start my business, I didn't want to be seen. Visibility was hard for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to start a blog because I love writing. And then I started talking to, as you should, when you're starting, you should talk to other entrepreneurs, not just get their insider advice, but know you're not alone in the negative thoughts and energy you might be thinking of. And then one of my friends, like, you need to hire a coach. I'm like, okay, well, do you have someone? She's like, yeah, my friend or my coach. So I connected with her and I told her, like, yeah, I want to start a blog. And she called me out. This is why you hire coaches, not because you do what they say. Like, I even tell my own clients, you did not hire me to make you feel good. You hired me to be direct with you. Right. And she was direct with me. You're not going to make any money on blogs. Blogs are very 2000. And at the time it was 2017. So Can you believe it? 20 years ago was 2000s. Anyways. And she told me, like, you're a coach. Like, you have helped other people. Like, you've been able to do this in your own career. Other people want to hear it. So that was how I got into it. And I was just, I was stuck in my mindset a lot in the beginning, but you know what? I wouldn't have gotten out. I wouldn't have been successful if I didn't have the support I needed.
What do you think was what was the internal conversation? I just want to talk about, for people who are listening to us who've never invested in a coach before, right? I've told the story many times of when I signed up for my first coach. I had just quit my job after having my second baby and having gotten majorly screwed over in corporate by my boss while I was on maternity leave. I came back, I worked for a week, and I quit after 1 week. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And that's when I called up somebody who had gotten me into a sales call 2 months prior, and I had said, no, this is too expensive. I would be basically giving you all of my revenue from my side business. This is something I can do. And we're talking like at the time, it was like $797 a month. Like it was
that's nothing.
right. It's like a zero compared to everything. Like the coaching, high level coaching that I've invested in since then. But back then it was like, that is just way too much. I can't do it. 2 months later, when I quit my job, I called her. I'm like, I realized that if I don't do this right now and I don't get the right help, I may end up back at my job in a year, and I don't want that to happen. So I wonder what was your first encounter with paying for a premium coach, and what was that conversation like in your head about investing?
Yeah, so my first business coach was $10K.
Yeah.
Ooh. And I remember that sales calls because I was like crying, fear of success. But I just graduated from my master's. I just spent $40K on my master's for 2 years and decided I didn't want to use it. And so it was a $10K investment. Yes. I was like, this was the thing that I put in my head. Mm-hmm. What is the worst that could happen? Mm-hmm. And that's what I learned from my coach. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, my business fails. Okay. What's going to happen next? Can you find a job? I'm fucking employable. Like I raised millions of dollars. Like, yeah, I'm employable, but I don't want it. Like, I don't want to work full time.
Right.
For another organization. And we make shit up in our head, then go there, right? Like they're all going to judge me. Who's they? Make the list. Like, what if I fail? Okay. What's going to happen if you fail? Well, if I fail, I'm going to have to move back with my parents. I'm not homeless. Like I could find a job. We have one life to live. I remember when I invested $10K, of course this happens. My truck breaks down and that money could have been down deposit to a new car. And then my car eventually started. I drove to my mom, and then my mom, very Asian immigrant mom, oh, you could have used that down payment for a Mercedes Benz. I'm like, and mind you, she's a mom. So it came from love, right? So I looked at her straight in the eye and I'm like, Mom, when I die, I'm not going to be thinking about the Mercedes. I'll be thinking about how I didn't go after my dreams.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I mean, how many of you have wasted money on a dish you didn't want? You know what I'm saying? You go to a restaurant and you're like, fuck, I knew I should have just kept the pad thai I always order, but I wanted to try something new. But at least you knew and you tried it. How many of you have wasted time with an ex-partner for years? I mean, you tried.
I'm totally with you. It's become, I've had conversations with people for whom the money is so the goal that they're going for that they don't want to spend it because that takes them away from their goal, because my money's going to go down if I put it here. When the mentality for me, for sure, since I started, has shifted to the money is a tool to get me to a goal that is not the monetary goal, is the life, is the not wanting the regrets, is the doing exactly what I want to do, which is talking to you right now rather than being stuck in a cubicle somewhere. So for me, it has been stop thinking about the money as the goal and start thinking of it as a tool to get to your goal.
How do you want to feel? How do you want to live? You know, two things with that, with money. Money comes from the word current. Current, like water, moves. And currency, right? Get it? Money, currency, current moves. When water stays still in a cup, how will it look 30 days from now? It's disgusting and stagnant. But if you go to a stream or a river, like water is flowing, right? Recessions happen because no one spends.
Right.
Money is supposed to move. It's kind of like having a partner, right? Do you want your partner with you 24/7? No. When my boyfriend goes out, I mean, I know it's COVID, but it's like my boyfriend goes out, I'm like, hey, enjoy your time. Kind of like when I pay for bills, like, okay, just paid for rent. All right, bye. I'll see you next month again on the 1st when I pay you.
Right.
Similar thing. And then second is, money, like I said, money is energy. I don't know. It just makes sense to me. How are you going to get to that next level? So if you're holding back, what does that show to the universe? I remember I made a $25,000 investment. Mm-hmm. Well, I was scared to, because I'll be transparent. I was $55K in debt, but I don't like using the word debt. I like using the word investment, because it wasn't like I was buying a Louis Vuitton purse a week. It was because I was investing in my business. And when I got to the call with my that coach at that time, I was like, I'm 55K in debt. I cannot do this down to positive 5K. And she was really sweet. She worked it out with me. And she was like, you know what, just do this amount this month and then you could do the rest. And like, okay, it scared the shit out of me, but I still did it. Guess what happened? I had a fucking 6-figure launch. Would I have gotten it without her? Oh, hell no. I would not have. And mind you, it's also the perspective on it. For those of you that own a house or a car, we're technically in debt. It's like hundreds and thousands of dollars. And also, did you know Disney was bankrupt 3 times?
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a Forbes article if you want me to share it with you. There's a list of a lot of wealthy people, but Disney was bankrupt 3 times. And look at Disney now. Disney World, Disneyland, all their movies.
The way that I've started to think about it when I make big investments like that is, what would I rather have like next month? $10,000 in the bank sitting there, or this incredible opportunity to be in a new circle of people, of high level, high-minded people who are going to get me to that next level, to get the kind of coaching that I'm going to take with my business and help it grow. Like when you invest, you're actually watering the plant. You're not just buying the water and putting it on the shelf. You're actually making something grow. So I could stay on this money topic like the entire conversation, just because I think that money mindset is a huge, huge hurdle for a lot of people who are starting out, who want to make it far. You may be very smart and resourceful. I am very smart and resourceful. It wasn't until I got my coach that I actually saw things moving. I saw myself learning from it and doing more things. So, but I did want to talk to you about a couple more other things. So one thing that everybody should know is that, and you mentioned it earlier, you only have like 3,000 followers on Instagram, and you are on your way to reaching the 7-figure mark next year. Is this all accurate? Is this true? And congratulations, because you have done this. You have made it by all of your choices. And I want everybody to know that there isn't just one way of making money as an online coach, which is to have 1 million followers on Instagram. And I want you to tell us, because the first question that people have on their minds is, wait a minute, she's going to reach the 7-figure mark and she doesn't even have like 10,000. She can't even use the swipe up feature on Instagram stories because she doesn't have the $10,000 followers. So I need you to tell us, okay, how does your business model work?
I also want to remind everyone, before I was a coach, I raised millions and hundreds and thousands of dollars for nonprofit organizations. This was not like a coach taught me a coach, like, you know, that whole funnel thing. Yeah. What I'm trying to say, it's built off relationships. Like that's how I got Elon Musk as a donor, or other big name donors. In my organization, in my company, I do it similarly. So for example, I do free monthly events and I post it on Eventbrite. So this is my whole client journey. I call it the high organic touch journey. For me, it's going to be different for each person. Right. I also want to let people know, fuck looking at what I do or what other coaches do. You have to do what works best for you. You have to be in alignment to your energy and what works best. So I use Eventbrite. The reason why I use Eventbrite is because Eventbrite is hooked up to Google SEO. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people know this. Right. So when you do an event, you're not just presenting it on Facebook and Instagram and you post it, but you also present it to the Eventbrite community. So I'm actually #1 in the Google search when you look for Los Angeles and women in business events. This is back before COVID, by the way.
Right.
So I do monthly events. And then from there, I make sure in my email marketing, like if you know other like-minded entrepreneurs, invite them. So I get anywhere from about 40 to 80 people sign up a month. And then even my own clients are referring people to come to my events. And all I do in my Instagram, like today, every Monday, guaranteed, you guys could follow me at Elaine Lou _ I know that's going to be in the show notes. I share client wins. And then you don't need the swipe up function. I'm going to give you guys a little tip. Instead of the swipe up function, use the poll. So for example, I presented that one of my clients passed the 6-figure mark. And then I put a poll like, amazing, in one side, I want to learn. Then you click on that little I thing. You look at everyone that hits the poll. And then you just send personal DMs like, oh, hey, Ina, thank you so much for liking my client's win of hitting 6 figures. How are you doing? What support do you need in your business? That's it. Like I'm building relationships. When I put a post, and for example, I just did a post about how I was at the 4 Seasons and how I learned the importance of being reflective. It's not about learning more. It's about being reflective. And then I just followed up with people like, hey, Ina, thanks for liking my post about me being in the Four Seasons. Like, what resonated with you the most? Do you see how it has nothing to do with me? It has to do with the other person. I'm listening. Listen more, talk less.
And I love it because you don't do the funnel thing. This was like when you reached your first 6-figure launch back in 2019, it was not based on the funnel and a class and a webinar. And it was just all relationship. It was just outreach like this.
One of my clients made $1,500 from sending a DM on Instagram. She has no sales page. Also, I want all of you to remember businesses have happened before social media. Right. It's called social media for a reason, to be social.
Here is one thing that I would love for you to share with us. I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, what do you think is the biggest misconception of you, that people may have of you, of somebody who has been mightily successful in their business, even without a funnel? What do you think is the biggest misconception they have of you?
Of me? Oh, I didn't realize the question was of me. I think people think I'm just like DMing people all the time. I mean, I do DM people, but it's relationship building, guys. So the power of it is I have like an amazing referral program. And because more important than the referral program, all I do is focus on my client results. So I'm in year 3 of my business. I just brag about my client results. My clients get really happy. They talk about me. Then I get clients. Like I have 12 sales calls in the next 2 weeks. I am not even pitching anything right now.
That is amazing.
This morning I woke up. I'm like, oh, someone booked a sales call. I don't know what the fuck I did.
Where did that one come from?
I haven't read her application yet. But I will say what I usually do is I look at them and probably 95% of the time, they know one of my clients.
Yeah.
My Instagram, you guys should follow me. It's at Elaine Lou, ELAINELOU_. It's unique from other coaches because all I do is just brag about my clients. And for those that are watching this video, I like show my stuffed animals. I show more of me. Like, it's not this perfect and pristine shit, like size 0. It's, oh, look, here's my client wins, or here's my cute little stuffed animal, or I'm doing the Peloton ride right now. It's more real.
Can you tell us a little bit about your client results? What are some recent ones that are you very proud of?
I have 2 clients that just surpassed the 6-figure mark in the past 2 months. Another one that's $2K away from 6 figures. I have another client, I'm not even 7 figures yet, but she's at 2.1 million. I will say, so since my launch in June, every Monday I share new client wins. And I tell people, how many coaches do you know that share new client wins? You'll always see coaches share like 1 or 2 of the same client text messages. I share new client wins every Monday.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the question is. I forgot what the question is, but client wins, like client results. So there's that. And then another one, another client result that has nothing to do with money. I have 2 clients who are pregnant.
Aww.
Messaging is about legacy and building future generations. So they both, one is going to have a baby girl, another one a baby boy. So I'm like, oh, it's the mastermind quarantine babies. And they're able to go to doctor's appointments and rest and sleep when they're in pain and still run a business.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had more time to talk, but you have to give us one more thing, which is I'm going to give you the power to get the whole world to do one thing in the next 24 hours, and they have to do it to improve their life, to improve their business, to be happier. What would that thing that you would tell the world to do, what would it be?
Ask the question how you want to feel, right? So for me, how I want to feel is more fun. Like I want more fun, joy, and be playful. Then the second difficult question is, do you feel that right now? And if you don't feel what you want to feel, what are things you have to change? So I will be transparent. I had a very successful launch, sold out 13 people into my mastermind in June. And then I had what I call, postpartum launch depression. Like it was so hard for me to get back up to do the same work. I'm like, I can't do this again. Sure, I'm very grateful that I made all that money, but I'm not feeling fun and joyful. So what did I do to change it? I hired team. I hired my project manager, my community manager. I bought a bike, so I do Peloton riding. Nice. I make sure I don't work every other Friday. So there's at least one day out of the weekday I'm not working. I go to the park. I booked like the 4 Seasons after I did a virtual retreat with my mastermind. And what's hilarious is because my feelings are more fun and play, I'm getting more sales. In fact, my mantra is the less I work, the more fun and play I have.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and for sharing this time and all of your wisdom with us. So how can people find you? And I know that you have a little gift for everyone.
Yeah. So everyone, it's really simple. So add me on Instagram. So that's ELAINELOU _ so the little line. And actually DM me Global Phenomenon. So I know that you listened to this podcast and I'm going to send you guys my 6 word towards scripts, but I actually want you to DM me. And here's why. Not only will you get a new follower for you, 1, 2, not only are you going to get the freebie, 3, I want you to experience how I'm going to build a relationship with you online. How I DM you, ask certain questions. This is what you can do in your own audience.
I kind of like that. Can I do that?
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
I think I'm going to DM you right after this. Elaine, thank you so much for being so lovely and all the best. Good luck with the rest of the year. I know that it's going to be fabulous. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thanks so much, Ina. And I can't wait to see you guys in the DMs on Instagram.
Everybody will do that. Thank you, Elaine.